What is up, people, and welcome back to my Rags to Riches F1 2010 to 2014 career mode. This is the career mode where we go from one of the worst teams in F1 2010, work our way up through the ranks and through the teams and try and get a drive for one of the best teams in F1 2014. We're currently in the F1 2012 season, so if you have missed any of the previous episodes, then you can go catch up with all of them with the eye in the top right hand corner of your screens right now, and you can also go and catch up with the previous episode if you have only missed that one. But we're here in the F1 2012 season at round 8, the European Grand Prix, one of my favourite circuits ever. I absolutely love this circuit. I'm not too sure why I love the Valencian street circuit. I don't know whether it's because I've just had good races in the past, and every time and every game I seem to come here, I seem to do a pretty good job. So hopefully it can go, you know, the same sort of direction here today, and we can get a good result. But the standings after 7 rounds of the championship, we're currently in P6, which means that we will be driving for Sauber next season. But after a second place at Canada, first podium of the season, remember, we could be battling with Jenson Button and maybe the top guys for that 4th to 1st spot, which of course is going to be a Lotus and a Force India C. We don't want to drive for Sauber. We want to drive for someone other than Sauber in F1 2013, but we're just going to have to wait and see whether we can do that or not. The emails going into today's race, teammate challenge against Toro Rosso. We are now finally beating him after getting that podium, so it's now 3-2 at the moment between the two of us. Race results, don't really need to worry about that too much. First podium of the year. Information for Valencia: qualify in 8th and finish the race in 5th place, which hopefully we can do that. It's not going to be raining across the weekend, which is pretty decent, and car development, we don't really need to worry about that either. So without any further ado, let's head over to the race weekend for the European Grand Prix. Here we go then for Q1 one-shot qualifying. We're setting our lap very early on in this session because there's actually a 17% chance of rain. That is not a good start to the lap. Running it very wide on the exit of that corner, but hopefully we can make no more mistakes and get as high up the field as we possibly can. One more corner left to go in this one-shot qualifying session at the European Grand Prix. Running it very, very wide. DRS open, using curves down towards the line. Is it going to be enough to get us into Q2? Yes, it is. Surprisingly, the fastest lap of the qualifying session so far. Lovely indeed, which is actually, no, that's actually really surprising. We have Bruno Senna right on our tail throughout that whole lap, but somehow he's only 12th fastest. Not too sure how that works out, but I will take it. There we go then, into Q2 for, I think that's the 4th time this season. P2 in qualifying as well, really, really good lap. Just a tad slower than Sebastian Vettel at the end of the day. Toro Rosso also making it through, and it's, who else? It's Bruno Senna, the guy who was running right behind us, who was actually faster than us on that flying lap that we set, somehow is out in Q1 and behind a HRT as well. Really surprising result here in qualifying, but let's head over to Q2. Here we go then, second flying lap at the European Grand Prix around the Valencian street circuit as we use our DRS, use our curves all the way down towards the line, and let's go set the fastest lap of this session. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get into Q3 again. Right, I think it might actually be raining out on track at the moment. I'm not too sure. It's looking like it's getting darker. There was a percentage of rain at the end of the previous session. Yes, I think, yes, okay, it's actually raining out on track at the moment. But if we can set a good time on these dry tires whilst all the other drivers set their times on the wets, then we should be able to get into Q3, no problem at all. Here we go then, one proper corner left to go in this qualifying session. Down into it now, round the corner, nice and tidy. Use curves, use DRS, down towards the line, and the time is going to be good enough for a 1:40.333, and that should be enough to get us into Q3. Let's find out. And there you go. It was good enough for first once again, and that could really set us up for pole position in Q3. We just have to wait and see. The other guys may dial it up and, yeah, put in some quicker lap times in Q3. We just have to wait and see. And it could actually be raining as well, so we do have to watch out for that. But there we are, P1 after Q2, getting into Q3, and the drivers who unfortunately will not be making it into the top 10 shootout are Kimi Raikkonen, Pastor Maldonado, Nico Rosberg, Felipe Massa, Paul the rest of my teammate, and then the 2 Toro Rossos of Daniel Ricciardo and John-Eric Byrne. So can we get our first pole position of the F1 2012 game? Let's find out as we head over to Q3. I love how it says 0% chance of rain on this. But if we come out of this, it's actually raining out on track. I mean, where is the logic in that? Anyway, I'm going to fast forward to the end of the session. Hopefully it dries up. Hopefully we can go on to intermediate tyres and set some good lap times. But we're just going to have to wait and see what actually happens in this session. Here we go. Then the final one-shot qualifying session of the day. And I think this is going to be our first running out on the full wet tyres on this F1 2012 game. Running it very, very deep in towards the final hairpin, but starting our flying lap. Now, what can we do in this qualifying session? Can we put it on the front row of the grid? We are still awaiting that first pole position of the F1 2012 game. Hopefully, we can achieve it here. Blue skies out on track. I mean, there is literally not a cloud in sight, yet somehow it is chucking it down with rain. I mean, F1 2012 literally is one of the most stupidest games I've ever played. There is not a single cloud. At least in Q2, it was grey skies, and you could tell the rain was going to come down. This is blue skies, but it is pouring it down right now. What on earth is going on? Right, I think we are just really, really slow compared to the other drivers in these tricky wet conditions, as we're a whole 2 seconds off the pace after Sector 2. So hopefully we can find some time in this final sector, but I highly doubt that. And I feel like, unfortunately, it is going to be 10th place. I mean, at least that's still better than being right at the back of the grid, where we have been in previous races, around the final corner, using the rest of our curves, and down towards the line. Yeah, it's going to be way off the pace at the end of the day, and that should be enough for 10th place. Unfortunately, yes, 10th position in what has to be the strangest qualifying session I have ever seen. Blue skies, yet somehow there is rain coming down. So I'm guessing the rain only really fell on me. Maybe not. Maybe it's not like the cartoons where you just have a cloud above your head. But yeah, I'm not too sure where the rain was coming from. Blue skies out on track, but somehow it's full wet conditions. A little bit strange, but unfortunately we are not going to get our first pole position of the season here today. It's still P10, and there is still a lot of chances for us to make our way through the field and try and get a race win here today. We know we are quick. If it's dry, we know that we can be very, very quick out in those conditions. But Lewis Hamilton gets pole position ahead of his teammate Jenson Button in second, with Fernando Alonso, the first Ferrari, in third place. Then it's Mark Webber fourth, with Sebastian Vettel in fifth, and Michael Schumacher in sixth, with Kamui Kobayashi seventh, Romain Grosjean eighth, Sergio Perez in ninth, and then it is myself lining up and just about rounding out the top 10. So what can we do in today's race? Let's find out as we head over to the European Grand Prix. It's race day. It is the European Grand Prix at the Valencian Street Circuit, one of my favourite circuits on the F1 calendar in F1 2012. Unfortunately, this is going to be the last time that we race on this circuit, so it's quite sad to see it go. Would have liked to have raced on it in F1 2013, 14, 15 and 16, but unfortunately, that's not the case, as it is not on any of those games. But going into the race strategy, starting on the options, because no, we actually don't have to start on the option tyres, but we're going to do that anyway. We want to be as fast as we possibly can at the start of the race. Fuel strategy will be normal, head-to-head. Out-qualified our teammate once again, so that's 5-3 between the two of us there, so hopefully we can catch him up across the rest of the season. And 0% chance of rain here today. However, there was a 0% chance of rain in the actual race, and it ended up raining anyways. And there was blue skies, and there was somehow still rain. So, you know, the weather today is anyone's guess. We'll just have to wait and see. But nothing else to talk about, so let's head down to the track and get today's race underway. Lewis Hamilton is our pole man for today's race, with Jenson Button lining up alongside him in second. There's Fernando Alonso in third. Myself just rounding out the top 10, and then was my teammate Paul di Resta, who lines up down the back of the field in 15th position. Not the best of qualifying sessions for him. Unfortunately, we did manage to out-qualify him, but the lights are coming on now. It's 5 red lights. It is lights out, and away we go for the European Grand Prix. Not the best of starts. A terrible start, in fact, compared to everybody else on the grid. We go round the outside, down in towards turn 1. Can we pick a position in towards this very tricky corner? We're going to try and find a gap around the outside of Kamui Kobayashi, squeezing ourselves between the Lotus, going a little bit of a switchback move up the inside of the two Saubers there. Now having a look up the inside of Mark Webber, side by side with the Red Bull driver, getting squeezed out and squeezing him on the apex as well. Schumacher was side by side with us, but there we are, straight away moving up into P5 in this race. What a fantastic start here today, and hopefully we can hold on to this, push a little bit further, and maybe try and get our first win of the season. 2 laps into this European Grand Prix, and we are closing up to Romain Grosjean. Not quick enough though, unfortunately. The gap is still 1.7 seconds in today's race, but slowly and surely we are closing up to Romain Grosjean. Hopefully we can get him within the next couple of laps, but we are coming under pressure as well from Mark Webber right on our tail. Oh, Mark Webber's going to have a great run down in towards the next corner. He's right on my tail, but he's lifted off through that little kink there, getting caught up behind my car as we go down into the braking zone, and there we go, holding on to the position against Mark Webber. Oh, yellow flag has come out for some reason. I'm not too sure what the problem is at the moment. Who's had a crash or who's had an incident? Romain Grosjean has lost a bit of time to myself. He was about 2 extra seconds up the road, so I'm not too sure whether he's had a problem at all. Doesn't look like he's got a puncture, otherwise he would have been going a lot slower than that. The yellow flags have come in. Mark Webber is still on my tail, so I'm not too sure what exactly has changed. The good news though is that Romain Grosjean is very much closer to myself, and I am going to be coming in to the pits 1 lap earlier here on lap 5. Right, unfortunately the plan of trying to catch up to Romain Grosjean and the other guys the normal way has not worked, so we're going to try and do the undercut on all of them. Yes, hopefully we can come out in some space, but if it goes badly we could actually come out in a whole load of traffic, and yeah, this could not end well for us. I think we're just going to come out just behind my teammate of Paul Di Resta with a little bit of a gap to those back markers running behind those guys. So we should come out ahead of these guys going through turn 1 now. And yes, I am correct in that. Yes, very much correct, which is good news. And that means I can push on in some free air. And hopefully the likes of Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso and those guys, and Romain Grosjean as well, can get held up by each other as they come into the pit lane. And I can jump all of them and get up into the lead of the race. But we're just going to have to wait and see what exactly happens. My tyres are cold at the moment. That's allowing the car behind to actually close up to me. Right, the other guys should be coming into the pits now. It's not been the greatest in-lap at all, but we should come out around about where we were. We may, unfortunately, lose out, possibly, to Mark Webber. He will not be coming into pits on this lap. Schumacher got ahead of us. Oh, please don't tell me Schumi's got ahead of us. Nope, that is Romain Grosjean still. Okay, so it hasn't worked. Romain Grosjean still stays ahead of us. So do the leaders. And it looks like we're just going to come out in exactly the same position as we were in last time. So that undercut hasn't really worked, but we'll see what we can do on these medium set of tyres. Romain Grosjean's going to be slow at the moment because his mediums have not taken the time to get up to temperature, so he should be closing in quite a bit. Oh no, losing out a lot of time there. We could have been close enough to maybe have a chance using DRS down this next straight, but unfortunately not the case here today, and we are actually going to be under pressure from Bruno Senna once again. Senna, mate, don't even try it. Don't even try it. Good man. Good man. Stay away. Well, we've actually closed up quite a lot to Romain Grosjean down in towards his hairpin. Look how close we are now to the Lotus Drive. If we can have the possibility to go for the overtake on the Lotus Drive, I would love that. I would love to try and get P4 in this race. Okay, I would prefer to get onto the podium or maybe go for the win, but P4 is still a lot better than P5. Here we go, Romain Grosjean right ahead of us, going to brake early and then dive it up the inside, down in towards this final hairpin, side by side with Romain Grosjean. He's run it very, very wide upon exit. There was still room on the outside of the track for him to come on ahead of us, but nope, he didn't decide to take that, and there we go, moving up into P4 as other drivers come into the pits as well. Lovely job, lovely jubbly indeed. 3 laps left to go in this European Grand Prix. Unfortunately, a podium seems like it's out of the question unless anything strange happens across the course of the next couple of laps. Jenson Button way ahead of us at the moment, 7 seconds up the road. Plus, we've got Lewis Hamilton setting fastest laps every single lap as well. So it looks like he's going to go on to win it with Fernando Alonso. I think it's Alonso who is in second. We've got Mark Webber closing up the gap at the moment in P5. So it looks like there is going to be a bit of a battle between the two of us for this 4th position come at the end of the race. Here goes Mark Webber then using DRS, going to the left-hand side, and it looks like it's going to be a fairly simple move for the Red Bull driver. We're going to try and stick it up the inside into this corner. Do a bit of a, oh, look at that lovely switchback move on Mark Webber. I sort of, you know, gave him a terrible line through that corner as I pinned him to have the inside line into the second part of the chicane. I just knew that he was not going to get round there without lifting off the throttle. So I lifted off early, turned in nice and fine, and there we go, taking it back at P4 once again from Mark Webber. I think this battle, though, is going to continue over the next couple of laps. Oh no, I've only gone and damaged my front wing once again. Can we actually get through a race without damaging my car? Ah, that's really going to hurt me. Actually, no, it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, there's quite a few slow corners. There doesn't tend to be that many fast corners around this circuit. We just need to save our curves for down this straight. This is where we are going to be a sitting duck. Mark Webber, so much faster in that Red Bull car. But if I put my car to the right-hand side... Oh, no, that was not the right time. But I'm going to take an inside defensive line down in towards this corner. Can I get the job done? He's done the switchback move on me this time. But I'm going to hold on to it, keeping my car in the middle of the circuit. And there we go, still holding on to Mark Webber. One more lap left to go after this one. He's only going to have one more chance to go for that overtake. Here we go then. The whole train is right on the back of my car as we go into the final lap of this European Grand Prix. Mark Webber is first, then it's Romain Grosjean, who will look to try and get revenge for me sort of squeezing him out wide at the exit of the hairpin. Even though I actually did give him enough room on the circuit, he'll probably still want to get revenge on myself. Can we hold off all 5 of these guys in this final lap? Let's wait and see. We're doing a good job at the moment. Let's just keep it on the racing line and just keep these guys behind us. Right, this is going to be a very, very important corner. Need to get it nice and tidy through there, which I think we have done. And then use our curves and shoot off into the distance. Mark Webber right on my tail now. Where's he going to go? We're going to move over to the right-hand side. Take the inside line down in towards this corner. It looks like it may have been enough to hold off Mark down in towards this right hand and get the car turned in. We've overshot it a little bit, but that should not allow Mark Webber to come back through. He is too busy holding off Romain Grosjean at the moment. This is going to work out perfectly for us. If he's too busy defending against the Lotus, this can really help us down to the hairpin, because this would have been a good overtaking opportunity as well for Mark Webber. But there is such a huge gap at the moment between myself and Mark, and there we go, going into the hairpin, still in P4, nice and tidy. Only a few corners left to go, no more mistakes, as Lewis Hamilton wins today's European Grand Prix. A great job for the Brits. Unfortunately, we cannot make it a Brit 1, 2, 3, as Jenson Button's in 3rd and myself is in 4th. Unfortunately, whoever's in 2nd place taking that away from us. But through the final corner, as Mark Webber, in desperation, tries to go up the inside, actually goes straight into the back of me. But we will take 4th position at this European Grand Prix. What a fantastic result here today, beating the team's objective of trying to get 8th in the race. We got P4, we beat our teammate, and we have got 12 lovely points on board here in today's race. Lewis Hamilton, though, wins the European Grand Prix. Great result there for Lewis Hamilton, with Fernando Alonso 2nd, Jenson Button 3rd, and myself in 4th. Romain Grosjean finishes today's race in 5th after overtaking Mark Webber, who I'm not too sure what he did at the end of that race. Just went straight into the back of me. And yeah, unfortunately for him, it cost him a position. Felipe Massa finishes in 7th, with Michael Schumacher 8th, Kamui Kobayashi 9th, Nico Rosberg in 10th, and Paul di Resta just missing out on a point here today. Any real surprises? Sebastian Vettel way down in 16th position. Not a good race there for the German, with Kimi Räikkönen getting disqualified for some reason. So not too sure what happened to Kimi Räikkönen, but he got disqualified from today's race. So 0 points there for the Finnish driver. Right, let's have a look at the drivers' standings and see where that puts us. Still in P6, quite a few points away from Jenson Button. But if we can just have more races like that, where we slowly beat the guys ahead of us, like we beat Sebastian Vettel today, we could still be within a chance to get a top 4 finish. But at the moment, it's P6. It's a Sauber seat for next season, and we've got a 20-point lead over Romain Grosjean, with Jenson Button only a few points ahead of us as well. Constructors standings now, and Force India move up into P5 ahead of Mercedes, but still slightly behind Lotus at this stage of the season. We are 14 points behind the Lotus team. Hopefully we can catch up to those guys within the next couple of races, but we're just gonna have to wait and see how that goes. But that's it for the European Grand Prix, the final European Grand Prix here at Valencia on this Rags to Riches series. So I'm really gonna miss it. I love this circuit, and I am really gonna miss it. Hopefully it can make a comeback in future F1 seasons, or maybe even in future F1 games if they want to try and recreate old tracks from the past. Even though this is not the too far distance past, it's still a track that I would really love to see back in the game. But if you have enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to smash a like on today's video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for daily Formula One content, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. But I'll see you next time, at the, I want to say British Grand Prix, but I'm not entirely sure. But until then, it's goodbye from me.